afternoon, Speed Gaming fans and Resident Evil fans alike. I am DVS7, and we are going to be watching a pretty cool run today of Resident Evil 3. This is the original game from 1999, and it's a kind of obscure category called Knife Nemesis Percent. If you haven't heard of Knife Nemesis Percent, I mean, hey, look, you're probably going to say, oh, look, knife. That's kind of self-explanatory. You're going to use the knife. But what's Nemesis Percent? Well, Nemesis Percent says that you are required to take out Nemesis every time that he shows up and drops an item. So I will give you a heads up. There is going to be one time that Nemesis shows up, and you're not going to have to kill him, but it's only one time. What you're going to see is really one of the most difficult Resident Evil speedruns, with only the knife, which is a feat in and of itself, but you're also going to see our winner take down Nemesis with that knife on numerous occasions. And albirex, our runner today, is actually in the top of the Japanese leaderboards with just under a 1 hour time for world record. So, you know, I'm sure we're going to see a number of safety strats here today. But hey, you know what? I think anyone that can get through Resident Evil 3 with just a knife, let alone taking down Nemesis, I mean, around an hour is pretty impressive, regardless of whether or not it's world record. So I'm really excited about this run. What we're gonna do is we're gonna, basically talk through this quite a bit. I can sit here and I can talk about Resident Evil for an hour. I love Resident Evil. It's by far one of my favorite series, especially the original numbered ones before we hit over to Resident Evil 4, which kind of took not only Resident Evil video games as a whole in a completely new direction. But I'd rather have a conversation with you. So chat, feel free to throw down your favorite RE facts, ask some great questions. And it looks like our runner is getting ready to dive in. And it looks like they're going for the normal costume. I don't know if they're gonna stay there. But you know what? I think that if I look up in the middle of the night and my entire, city was on fire and zombies were everywhere, I also would grab my skirt and my tube top and say, you know what? This knife and I, we're gonna take down everybody in this. So, here we have opening up Jill somehow exploding out of a building in her classic skirt and tube top. Just gonna run down here. This is kind of a typical expected fight. So, hey, got bit. Oh no. It'll be fine. But yeah, you're gonna see, quite a lot of it'll seem like everything is very clean and crisp throughout this run. But Resident Evil actually introduces a new mechanic or a number of new mechanics into the Resident Evil series. And probably the reason why Resident Evil 3 is one of the hardest Resident Evils, or at least the early numbered Resident Evils to run, is because of RNG. And yeah, like every game has RNG, but in this particular game, it introduces not only puzzles that have multiple possible answers to them, but you also have enemy formations that are going to be really, it could be one or two different options. So you're going to see our runner hope, cross their fingers, that they're going to get the faster and safer options every time they run into a counter. But we're going to see how this plays out throughout the course of the run. So you saw our one and only item box drop to pick up our knife, and now you're going to see our runner just run away. The reason for this is it resets the room. Now all the zombies are kind of in a preset location, and this is the first big reset point, which is the basic. Ugh. And you got an early couple bites. This is not the kind of basic you want. Again, it's very RNG heavy. This is more of an expected bite right there to pick up our lighter fluid. Coming up the stairs, excellent maneuvering to get away. I greatly respect the pickup for the green herb there, especially with a couple unexpected fights there in the basement. But now we're going to just head into the city, run around, and kind of do what Resident Evil is most known for, which is really this, in a way, Metroidvania style of having a lot of different places open to you, a lot of different things that can happen, but you have to figure out, hey, look, there's a locked door, I gotta find an item. So we're going to see our runner scour through the city, we're going to see multiple double backs, and yeah, we're going to watch a professional in action. So we have our lighter fluid that we're going to use in a little bit. We saw Brad taking out a zombie, and we'll see if he pops up again in the future. Here we go. Here's our first item usage. Lighter fluid and the lighter to burn this rope on this door. Nice little jump scare, and we are through the door, running down the hallway. We have dogs, and yeah, this runner is tearing through. And we're about to head into the RPD, and this is our first Nemesis fight. And so we are going to see absolutely the most overpowered weapon in the entire game for this Nemesis fight. And that most overpowered weapon is, of course, geometry. Yes, geometry. So you'll notice that our runner has found a location where Nemesis is essentially caught on the geometry of that little curb right there. So our runner is getting some nice knife swings, taking care of their health, but they're in pretty good shape. They don't really have much to worry about, doing a little bit of pause buffering to make sure that they're getting as many swings as they can. But you're really going to see our runner, and whenever Nemesis is going to pop up, you're going to see our runner try to find one of these spots of geometry that's going to hold up Nemesis and basically make him a pincushion for your knife. Obviously, our runner's counting out exactly how many knife swings to expect, doing a little bit of pause buffering to make sure that Nemesis doesn't get out of place. If you're not careful, and Nemesis goes down, right? Nope. So typically, Nemesis ends up having two different phases, and you see this phase is a little different. He has that glow on his hand. He's going to move a lot faster, have a lot more in his arsenal. And you're going to see our runner, again, try to run around using that first aid spray to health up. You're going to see our runner try to run around and just reposition Nemesis into that exact same location just to maximize the number of knife swings. And if Nemesis pops out, you'll see they'll run around, try to position themselves again, and then get a couple more knives out there. And yeah, we'll see how long it takes. This it's kind of going to be what it looks like for every single one of these encounters. And really, the question is, what piece of geometry is our runner going to try to get Nemesis stuck on? So maybe we'll try to have a fun game and try to figure out exactly what pieces of geometry you guys think Nemesis will be stuck on. And great question in chat. He plans to fight Nemesis in every encounter. The answer to that is anytime Nemesis shows up and is going to drop an item, we are going to be fighting Nemesis with just our knife until Nemesis goes down and drops that item. There's going to be one time in the run where Nemesis shows up and we do not take out Nemesis, and you can tell that he goes down by that purplish blood coming out of his arm. And we are into the RPD, heading into our little police station there, and we get our first puzzle of the game. Now, the puzzles in Resident Evil 3 all have particular possible outcomes to them, and our runners have memorized, I want to say it's 4 different outcomes for that particular test, and the runners just run through the most common locker combination and then cycle through all the possible numbers. So it's nice you got it second try. That's not too bad. We find our way into Star's briefing room, which, if you've ever seen a Resident Evil 3 run to begin with, you'll know that this is a huge spot run where you get your rocket launcher or your magnum, but we are going to just run right out and head back downstairs. And with only 7 minutes in, I mean, we're booking it through this game. head down the hallway. Nemesis comes out with his rocket launcher and getting a couple knives in over there. Obviously, you don't want to hurt yourself. I mean, Nemesis is not stupid. He doesn't want to get hurt by like residual damage. He's gonna shoot over Jill's shoulder. You'll see our runner get a couple nice swings in, back and forth, and really this is just to taking a rocket. What this is going to do is it's going to allow our runner to essentially remove the rocket launcher from Nemesis to make Nemesis a little bit less dangerous when it comes to running down big hallways. And now it's the matter of where's our geometry? What piece of geometry can we get Nemesis stuck on? And it looks like we've got this cardboard box in the corner that Nemesis can't pass by. And our runner's got Nemesis in a nice spot. Again, no rocket launcher to worry about. And our runner's just going to knife, and count out exactly how many swings it needs to take. You see a little bit of pause buffering, just like the last fight. And this is kind of how it goes. I know when I first played Resident Evil 3 very, very long ago, I spent my time running around the city trying to figure out what on earth am I supposed to do. And I would never take close with just a knife. Oh, and we saw a new mechanic that I think our runner was trying to use there, which is a dodge mechanic. And so you'll notice that if Jill is trying to raise her knife as an enemy attacks, you do get the potential for a dodge and not take any damage from that. Incredibly difficult to do, but I'm sure our runner has played this far enough to know exactly when and how to do this. Yeah, so like just some side thoughts on Resident. Like I said, chat. Feel free to start this conversation too. Talk about your favorite parts of this game. Ask questions. Like I said, I can just talk and talk and talk. But hey, I'd rather hear from you guys too. But yeah, Resident Evil 3 is really an interesting game in the whole timeline, particularly because it was developed pretty quickly. And there goes Nemesis that second time. You'll see there's a lot of reused assets from Resident Evil 2, and part of that was just to another Resident Evil game out in the last couple months of the PlayStation life cycle. You'll see a lot of things familiar from Resident Evil 2. And yeah, as we run through. So we are heading down the street, behind the gallery, and just a couple extra hallways. Yeah, I believe our big goal right here is to find the gems that are going to open up a gate in the near future. And then we're going to make our way over to the train car after that. 労働時間の大幅の短縮により、劇的なタイムを更新できるようになりました。はい。はい、でこの先レストラン and here we get introduced to one of the newer enemies here in Resident Evil 3. We're just going to see them occasionally, not too much of a scare. Nice little dodge there coming down the hallway. And nice job going up the stairs. Stairs used to be something that you were required to do, were automated in previous games, and this one you can actually get grabbed, so stairs are certainly a lot more dangerous. And we have our next Nemesis fight. Nemesis comes up, you have two choices to make. Which one are you going to do? Your top choice, bottom choice. You get your heart's pounding, trying to figure out what decision should I make. You're looking at Carlos saying, hey, top or bottom, and then, oh no, I didn't make a decision, and now we're stuck in a Nemesis fight. So as you see, again, geometry is the absolute most powerful weapon in the game. Nemesis stuck on that counter there. Carlos is dealing the majority of the damage, just unloading with his machine gun into Nemesis. We're gonna get Nemesis back, stuck in that geometry, doing some knife and assault rifle action. Nemesis shouldn't take too long after this particular fight. You know, we're only using a knife here, but I'm sure these are the kinds of strats that, you know, if you're playing this game again casually, hey, strats still work even if you're not just holding a knife. And we theoretic up a first aid package, so that contains 3 first aid sprays. If you haven't noticed, health is a pretty important part of running this knife only run, just because anytime we get hit, we want to make sure that we're out of caution and don't have to worry about taking an accidental death. So you'll see those first aid sprays put to good use. Picking up an extra first aid spray, you know, from here it's a little bit, you know, similar to, you know, or any of the other categories. You know, push the stool over, which has a little bit of a bigger hitbox for that switch than you might expect. Open the gate. Massive explosion and fire. Obviously, everything's totally fine. We'll just run into the exploding building. No worries. And move up to the next floor. I believe to pick up our next key item here on this desk, which is and now we're going to make our way back to a previously locked gate where we're going to put in our 2 gems and get into the section of the game here. And here we are putting in our 2 gems, opening up our gate, and heading into the next game.
ダメージをより多く食らいやすいというところですね。はい。だいたいカプコンの犬っていうのは結構凶悪なことが多いんですが、バイオハザード3
pass by this hallway a number of times.
多いという。
This is just looking pretty familiar. Again, it's that Metroidvania style of, you know, you see a locked door, you know you're gonna have to come back to it. It's just a matter of when and what item do I need. So we're gonna head down. And yes, we got dogs. So, for those of you who don't know, like I said at the beginning of the game, there's an RNG factor to Resident Evil 3. Not just in enemy movements and reactions, but also exactly what types of enemies might show up in a particular encounter zone. So in this encounter zone, you can either get dogs or you can get regular zombies. And for pretty much every single run, you're going to want to see those dogs. They are substantially large and just make this a lot faster. You're not going to get grabbed by a dog, typically, especially at this level of play. So we picked up our wrench, we picked up a side pack, we met the other members of the mercenary squad, and now we're going to head back into the city. And, you know, we've learned that we need some equipment in order to get our tram car to run again. And Jill has been tasked with going into town to try to find equipment that we need to get this thing back up and running. We're going to use our crank, which is typical of our... Oh no. And that's what the wrench is. At least the first part. I don't know about you. Going through this game, getting to this point, picking the crank, and then not realizing there was a wrench inside of the tram car. Infuriating. So yeah, here's another quick puzzle here in the game. This one's pretty set in stone, and we're gonna pick up. I believe it's a little bit of gasoline and an first aid spray, which puts us up to 5 first aid sprays, which you might think is very safe, but again, this is Nemesis percent. I don't think anything's that. And here's our first jump into here. You'll see there's this massive horde of zombies, and that was actually a really nice push. You want to have all of the zombies go down, and they're taking a long time to get back up. That was a great pattern. You know, zombies don't always fall, and they can get up pretty quickly. So getting the tram, getting a nice push going into that room. This is already a very good run, and you know, I'm excited to see the estimated time on this run is an hour and 20 minutes, but our runner, the world record, it's just under an hour. I don't anticipate us getting world record here, but that 1 hour 20 minutes is a pretty generous time. We got our little book. We're gonna run back to again, run back to a very familiar hallway and get another item.
もう自分だったらもう突っ込んでましたね。さて、ここのバッテリー
Couple quick dodges. That was some good movement there. We're gonna hope for another push here. Good timing on that big zombie. That zombie, yeah, got an early bite. But they can get you during that cutscene, and that's not something you want to see. 2 bites, not bad. Healing up to full using one of those 5 first aids picked up along the way, and we are back to use that battery that we just found inside of a random statue.
先にセーブ会社に行くことでネメシスの出現位置が変わりまして有利になります。はい。ここでも運要素がありまして、パスワードはサフスプリン、アドラビル、アクアキュアのどれかが出ます。はい。で、ここでですね、アルビさんのサブスクをしているという方は、ぜひともね、アルビさんのプリンスタンプを打っていただいてですね。はい。
Running back through the car garage. We're gonna again pass by this at least one more time.
いや、ただね、これね、3択ということなんですけど、まあ、どう考えても、
making good progress here. Not getting a lot of the good dodges, getting some good patterns. Now we're gonna pick up our fire hose. Like I said, it's got that retro Metroidvania feel of picking up items throughout the course of the game, or seeing items you could get, but not knowing exactly how to get. Oof, an unfortunate swipe there. So we have that fire hose, and the thing that you do fire hoses is you put out fires. So we're gonna see Jill use this fire hose, put out this fire, and that way we can get back to this this new area behind the fire.
消化して先に進んでいきます。で、ドア的にもう1個超えたとこですね。はい、ここ製薬会社です。はい。さあ、来るか、スプレー回収して、サクスプリン。キーボードは特殊だ。
All right, and this is another one of those big moments in the run. Sasprin is the most common answer here for this particular puzzle. Not always going to work. I believe there's 3 different possible combinations. Oof. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he did type the entire word there. Yeah, Adravil is the next one, and yeah, RNG. Yeah, gotta love that keyboard RNG, man. You can see a little bit of the nerves there. Another thing, again, things with this game, you see random drops. So actually, yeah, you see different drops. Actually, those drops are Jill, that's a great push. I mean, you can get 3-4 different bites in that spot. That's a great dodge, and that was other than some rough keyboard RNG there. We had a pretty clean run out of that pharmacy. And here's our next Nemesis fight. Again, you see Nemesis with that rocket launcher. First thing you gotta do is you gotta get rid of that rocket launcher. You see our runner position themselves in a spot where they can do some knife swings and not have to worry about the rocket launcher. Get Nemesis to use up all of the rounds, drop the rocket launcher on the ground, so you don't have to worry about taking a a loose rocket as you're trying to run away or position yourselves for the rest of the fight. So the rocket launcher's gone, and now we have to find yet another version of our most powerful weapon in the game, which is geometry. And so for this particular fight, we're going to use this palette here. You know, this is a very particular position. You don't want to move too far forward, or you'll get hit. You don't want to move too far back, otherwise you're going to miss your swipes. So we're going to just take our knife, taking phrase death by 1,000 cuts to a very different definition here. You know, as usual, Nemesis has two different phases. Yes, she's having a nice time interacting with getting into danger, using up that first aid spray. Gotta love the menuing here. You know, especially with knife percent, you're not going to go into your menu a lot. Typically in Resident Evil, you'll go into your menu for reloads of your weapons and so forth. But with knife percent, you know, all you have is a knife. The only thing you really need to use your menu for is healing and mixing key items. So taking advantage of the healing opportunities, also menu in and mix your key items. Very good use of time. Nemesis goes down, and now we're going to head back towards our parking garage here.
で、あとは、変電所ですね。変電所に行けば、行ってアイテム回収すればもう
I love Resident Evil so much. I love it. You have this crazy monster flailing its arms running at you, and you say thank you, move along the side, and it's a perfectly clean, safe exit from that room. Go to our parking garage, pull some wires out of a random car, and we get our next cutscene choice here, as these packages just decide to roll off of the back of a van for no reason, and we quickly jump into a hole, jump out of a hole, and continue on. Oh, looks like our runner's going to take a quick save.
そしてですね、変電所でうまくいくと、音を置き去りにするというね、はい、特殊な技がありまして、それができると、
Like I said, there's no real safe part of this run. You know, even we have, I think, 4 first aid sprays at the moment. I mean, this is knife Nemesis percent. You still have to take down Nemesis, and Nemesis does Nemesis things, and we don't want to risk getting hit. This is a kind of an interesting room. It's not really as important in kind of the newer runs of Resident Evil 3, but it used to be, you know, back in the STAR's office, you would get either the grenade launcher or I believe the Magnum, and you always wanted a grenade launcher. Yeah, I never understood the live selection with the 2 boxes either. But in that packed room right there, if you happen to get the Magnum, that's where you could actually go in and pick up your rocket launcher. Rocket launcher is always faster, and I think these days there's an agreed upon script that's run to guarantee the rocket launcher, just because it's really the only way to go as fast as possible in the standard 20% RH rate.
そうですね。この戦法今は海外日記が真似してます。
もう発見者俺で
A little bit more backtracking.
ただシビアな要素。シビアな
Heading back to a very familiar hallway.
めちゃくちゃシビアですね。
One of those things in video games. You run through a hallway that had a ton of zombies. Now it doesn't have a ton of zombies. Your first thought is, oh yay, no more zombies. Your second thought is, oh no, no more zombies. So we have our next Nemesis fight. Unfortunate getting thrown back here. We do not want to be... we do not want to stuff there, getting some nice geometry there with Nemesis, and getting some headshots in, a little bit of extra damage. Chat saying remake, not or RE3 make, not having live selection is kind of lame. Yeah, remake was interesting. As I've been thinking, like I was thinking about this going into the run, that remake and the OG RE3 suffered from the exact same problem, which was the success of Resident Evil 2. You take, the OG Resident Evil 2 or the Resident Evil 2 remake, and how amazing those games were. Really cutting edge, classic games. And Capcom saying, hey, look, we have all of these assets. Let's make a game in a very quick amount of time. And that's kind of what happened with both, personal opinion. But yeah, I definitely agree that, kind of the live selection choice and kind of how you deal with Nemesis were the best parts of Resident Evil 3. I think 3 Make does a great job in certain parts of the game, but yeah, like especially because live selection, like especially for your first run through, you have no idea which one's the right option, but it also brings a little bit more replay value to it. Looks like our runners kind of having a little bit of a trolly Nemesis here. Like I said, you want to find that exact geometry to make this fight go as smoothly as possible, but Nemesis keeps slipping out of his intended location. Getting stuck on unexpected geometry back there. We're just gonna wait for him to come back up and get with that. Of course, Nemesis is gonna run up and punch you the second that you're out of place spot. Yeah, I know, like in looking at not to make this an entire thing about remake versus RE3. But yeah, I think there's some good points. It's tough because it is so unlike the OG RE3 that we're looking at right now. Try to stay on the yeah, the clock tower is big. I definitely think the city portion at the beginning of the remake was by far the most true to the classic RE. Oh, bringing up Silent Hill. Speaking of Silent Hill, for those of you that are Silent Hill fans, as well as just regular survival horror fans, we do have a run of Silent Hill 2 hard percent. Hard any percent, I believe, after this. And yeah, please stick around for that. It's going to be a great run. And I'm excited to have it. My audio?
モーションカットを9回連続で繰り返すとワンターンキルができるというボス。はい。
You're picking up some extra green herbs.
を地面に投げてフリーズを回避したというエピソードをお持ちのカプコン
cutting out and peeking a little bit.
RTA の始祖により発見をされた大技ですね。いや、見つけちゃったんですよね、それをね。
Thank you for letting me know. I can't really hear what's going on.
で、当時のルールでは連射機が使用可能ルールだったんですが、今、連射機が使用不可能
Taking our way back to our train, gonna try to get some help with that, with whatever my mic issues are. Thank you for letting me know about it. We're gonna use up, again, those key items that we just found. Get this train on the move.
カルロス君がプレゼントを渡すんですが、これは使えないので捨てます。
はい、すぐ捨てますね。
すぐ捨てますね。はい。もうアイテム欄圧迫するだけなのですぐ捨てます。
はい。
And here we have one of the moments I've been talking about quite a little bit. We have the show up of Nemesis on the train, our runner's going to turn around, run out of the car, and then interact with this this next choice it's seen here, and actually just make the decision to not fight Nemesis. And this is the one location in the game where you do not have to fight Nemesis up. Because, like, and again, it's part of the speedrun description of this particular category is that you have to fight Nemesis every time that Nemesis drops an item. And if you defeat Nemesis on the train, Nemesis does not drop an item. So we are allowed to just jump out of the train, run into to our new building here, and move on. And again, we do have, like, I don't. For those of you who have not, and as familiar with some of the Resident Evil, or at least some of the mechanics in Resident Evil, there actually are difficulties. The better that you play, the harder the game makes it. The worse you play, the game makes itself a little bit easier. There are no built-in difficulties to Resident Evil, but the game does actually change a lot of its own statistics. And so it's always interesting to watch our runners go through and see what kinds of items show up throughout different runs. And a lot of our runners in a lot of these a lot of these Resident Evil games manipulating these damage categories to make sure that they get the drops that they want. So this is the famous clock tower. We're gonna have Joe climb up to the top of the clock tower. We're gonna get another one of our RNG puzzles. So there can be a number of different options for this particular puzzle, for how many times you need to switch a peg, and obviously the greatest number of switches that you need, the longer the puzzle takes. So hopefully we're gonna get a
プレイステーションバージョンですと、どちらの方に直すかっていうことも、ランダムになってるんですが、パソコン版だとね、
two changes good.
直す順は固定が
Yeah, and for those of you who've been with us for a little bit, we did just have a full run through of the entire Clock Tower trilogy. And if you want, you can look back on the stream and check the VODs for that Clock Tower trilogy. Which, yes, absolutely is a great shout out to a great team.
場外に弾き出してしまうと罪です。これね、罪の選択肢が上の方にあるんでね、ボタン連打すると押してしまうっていう巧妙な罠があるんですね。
So we have our next Nemesis encounter here. Keep in mind that you do not have to fight Nemesis in the very first screen that you see Nemesis. You just have to take down Nemesis every single time they show up. And so you're going to see our runner actually run away from and fight Nemesis in that very close quarters area and find, again, our OP weapon of Resident Evil 3, Knife Nemesis %, which is geometry. And this time we're going to here to get Nemesis stuck. And then we're going to just start our knives in. Getting a couple of those headshots and do a little bit more damage. And hopefully Nemi's going to play well with us. But we'll have to see how this one goes. We kind of had a trolly Nemesis in our last fight. This one's looking good so far. Hopefully when we get to the next segment, they're gonna be a little bit less trolly. And play well with us. So they alternate knifing to dodge Nemi attacks. I'm actually not sure about that. That is a great question. I don't know. If anyone in chat knows, please let us know. It looks like we're getting another trolley Nemesis. Able to get up and use that mixed herb. Yeah, looks like Nemesis isn't getting stuck on that corner there. Dodge around. There it is, right there. The Nemesis stuck again. Got him in location, and trying to get that sweet spot where you can still do damage to Nemesis, but don't have to worry about Nemesis hitting you. And hopefully Nemesis plays nice and stays in this little spot to get a nice quicker kill on this one.
ちょっと殴りが多いですね、今日ね。ちょっとそうですね。ちょっとネメスの気合入りすぎですね。羽目外れた。羽目が外れてしまったんで、もう一回、
Nemesis with another grab. So yeah, moving around, trying to get again, it's trying to get Nemesis stuck in that one spot where you can have him split geometry, so you can get to a safe spot.
無事倒しました。で、この先、クモくんがいますね。で、クモくんの毒撃を食らうと 100% ポイズン状態になってしまいます。で、また新しい謎解き、時計の謎解きパターン4パターンです。5時、7時、9時、11時、11時。
So again, another puzzle.
どうでしょうか。
Another puzzle, picking up these three stones, and it's actually the clock in the center that tells you which order you need to put the stones back in their little holders, and depending on the time that's shown on that center clock when you walk into the room is exactly what you need to do. So we're going to pick up our gear and dodge another classic Resident Evil enemy, which are the spiders.
で、この先ですね、電気で倒したダウンさせた、ネメシスの戦利品もね、後で手に入れますね。で、歯車を入手して、
So we're picking up our second gear. We're going to combine them together, plop it into the clock tower gears, and head back outside.
恒例の流れですね。はい。
Picking up 3 more first aid sprays. Again, you know, our runners try to mitigate as much R&D as possible, try to make things as safe as possible. But hey, going up against a rocket launcher Nemesis with just a knife, gladly take a couple extra first aid sprays. Oof, taking a rocket there. Again, trying to burn out those rockets so you don't have to worry about them again. Tough thing with virus is you don't actually know exactly how much health you have unless you're like one of our runners and know exactly how many hit points you have and how much damage each attack does. So our runners, again, trying to find that perfect spot where Nemesis gets stuck, and you can go about knifing without having to worry too much about your situation. Yeah, the production of Resident Evil 3 originally was it's a pretty interesting backstory. Especially because there were 2 Resident Evil projects working at the same time, with Resident Evil 3 on the PlayStation and with Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. And then you had Resident Evil 4 jump over to the GameCube. So pretty unique time in the history of Resident Evil, surrounding all 3 of those games and kind of what Capcom decided to do with exclusive deals and so forth. But yeah, the Resident Evil 3 using up really just a lot of the assets from Resident Evil 2 to make sure that the game could come out before the launch of the PS2, and Code Veronica being designed more for that Dreamcast release with Sega. Yeah, not to mention Devil May Cry, which was really a spin-off of what Capcom was discovering in its R&D for their Resident Evil titles. Yeah, I was gonna say I think that was RE4 that they came up with Devil May Cry 4. I'm a little fuzzy on that. But yeah, having Devil May Cry coming out of the Resident Evil series, as well as, I mean, and it, again, you look at Resident Evil 4 as kind of a departure of the classic Resident Evil gameplay and puzzle mechanic, but really revolutionizing third-person video gaming in general. So we have a lot to thank the Resident Evil series for. We finally got our Nemesis down. Jill has been infected with the virus. Carlos is going to be taking over, and now we're going to see Carlos with just a knife. Yeah, great call out the Evil Within. That's another crazy game. Not a Capcom. Well, and again, we are having Silent Hill 2 come up after this particular run, which is another phenomenal survival horror game by Konami, which I don't think Konami is going to do anything with that franchise, unfortunately. But we can only hope and dream that they want to make money, right? Can't we? So as we're running through with Carlos, we're going to push this big bell, which is going to allow us to go to the hospital to try to find a cure for Jill. So, quick question for chat, for those of you who are big Resident Evil fans. Speaking of Resident Evil 3 and Code Veronica, what do you think? Steve versus Carlos. What's your preference there? Steve or Carlos? Was thinking about that earlier today. Oh, Steve. I don't know if... So that does remind me of Parasite Eve, but another great game in the survival horror genre that came up. Yeah, I was thinking kind of the same thing. Like, you kind of have to go for Carlos, but you gotta give a little bit of a shout out to Steve just because he tried and he did, I guess, what he could eventually. Yeah, making our way through the hospital, we did see our first check of the hunters, and we're actually going to be hoping for hunters as we run through some of these upcoming rooms here later in the game, simply because they're a lot easier to dodge than some of the other options that are available, or the other types of encounters that you could run into. And we'll see if our runner decides to YOLO this next puzzle room. And we'll talk about it a little bit once we get to it. So as we go up in this elevator, I know that there's a big possibility for two different options. I know one of them is zombies, and I think the other one is hunters. But this is our YOLO Carlos room. Nope, sorry. Nope, I was one room ahead. Yeah, Steve's a little bit... Steve's whiny. That's the best way to describe Steve. He's whiny. And so this room, the puzzle is you have to move this filing cabinet onto one of these panels, and if you put it on the right panel, it opens up a safe, and if you put it on the wrong one, you get shocked. Hey, and look at that, YOLO Carlos. We get the safe in the first option, and the code for the safe is tied to which panel you end up putting the safe on, and we're able to get our medicine, and we're able to run back to Jill. Yeah, Claire's the way to go. Right. Decent push to the zombies. Got one extra bite there.
これが 2% だと、ここの ここで終わる可能性がだいぶ高いので。
And now that we've made our way out, we can get back to Joe. We can give her the vaccine, and we'll be switching back to Joe pretty shortly here.
でこの後カルロスの唯一のネメシス戦なんですが、パソコン版特有のバグを使いますので、そちらにご注目ください。入ってきたドアに戻ってネメシスを無力化をするという。
So we do have our Nemesis v Steed, or Steed. Yeah, I'm already getting myself mixed up. Carlos versus Nemesis.
はい、このね、
Oh,
RTA でもね、皆さんよく見たよ
I
うな
love
動き
I
です
love
ね。
video games so much. Getting Nemesis in a little bit of a
ハメ
glitch
が外れ
state.
てしまったと。ということはもう一回やり直して、
あ、行きましたね。
スーッとなりましたので、
はい。
Yeah,
これで
Just-
無力化して倒していきます。
sliding his way across the room. Nothing to see here.
ちょっと待ってくださいね。
Everything's good.
はい。
Don't mind him.
ここね、個人的にジャミロクワイっていうバンドのバーチャルインサニティっていうね、プロモーションビデオみたいで好きですね。で、カルロスなんですけど、
Yeah, I think
ナイフのね、中段
the T-pose level of terrifying.
なかなか決まんねえぞ。
Yeah, I can agree with that one.
あ、来ました。
あ、いいですか。
せき止められてる。
はい、で、これで、進行方向を
Getting in a nice
塞いでね
position to
2を
get some
あ
good
誘導してあ
shots
ります
on
ね。
Nemesis
はい
here
は
as
い
he
完
just
全に
slides his way along. Oh, and gets him stuck.
はい、完璧です。で、カルロス君なんですが、ナイフの中段攻撃、
Yeah, this is a great spot to
遅いのでね、下段攻
just
撃
get
上段攻
get
撃
a bunch of knife swings here. Try to finish
い
this
や
phase up
ー、
pretty
いいで
quick.
すね。この絵は本当にいいですね。
I mean, to be fair, imagine Nemesis
これ
approaching
ね、
you in a
本当
dark
パソコン版
hallway
だけしか
ever,
できない特
like
権ですからね、これ
period.
ね。
そうなんで
That's
す。
terrifying
計算だと
enough,
これ
let
できないん
alone
で。
できないですね。
skating at you without moving his feet.
はい、で、このネメシスなんですが、月とさっき食らってしまった叩きつけ以外はね、HP0 になっても死にません。で、早速それを悪用していき
We're
ま
back
す。
to Jill. We're gonna give her a vaccine, and now we're back to definitely our favorite protagonist. Well, I can't really. You know what? I can't necessarily say favorite protagonist. I have to catch
先ほど
myself
ネ
there.
メシス、倒しましたんで、
Of our
体
Resident
力が
Evil
減っています
protagonists,
で
which
ジルだ
which
と
one do
先
you
ほど
think
の
is
バ
your
グが
favorite?
使えないです。
I mean, we
こ
have
の角に
like if
来
you
ま
just take
し
the
て
original. Let's just do the original three. You've got Leon, Claire, Joe, and Chris.
敵の
Well, I
横
guess
振りが
I guess
来
you
ま
could
すと
say,
横振り
yeah,
がこの柱
Leon,
にパチン
Claire,
と
Joe,
弾か
and
れて
Chris.
無力化してするので、横振りが来るほど速くなります。
OG Claire or the remake Claire.
はい、現状はですね、このホールの角に行ってひたすら切るという
I'd get
戦法
behind
しか
that.
できません。で、ここまでに回復を溜め込んでゴリ押す
Joe
とい
and
う
Chris are kind of boring. Yeah,
戦術を
well,
取っています。
especially with the amazing voice
で
acting
この第
back
二形
in
態の行動
the
は
beginning
ラ
of
ンダ
the
ム
PlayStation days.
癖が高く
You know,
タイムが
some of
安定し
our
ない
our
練習ですね。
favorite, just
ぜひともですね、
awkward AF voice acting in in our original
今
PlayStation.
26,000人の方が
Jimmy
いらっしゃ
Jama
いま
with
すから、
Leon.
ぜひともパソコン版バイオハザード3買っていただいて、有効
See,
な戦術
I'm
をね
okay with Leon
編
in
み出していただきたいですね。
in
もう
the
最後
second
もう最
Resident
後のピース
Evil,
はこ
but
れ
once
です
you
から
get
ね
to RE4, he gets a
も
little
う
he gets a
あんま
little
り目が映
strange.
ってないっていう。
Little bit
感じ
strange.
はい、ここがもう見つかればね、もう完璧なんですけどね。
Never really got
割とここ最近発見されたんですけど、
yeah.
はい。
日本勢のスリーピさんって方が最近ここで
あ、はいはいはいはい。
感じで、はい、発見されたんですけど、以前は狭いところではめてます。
もうね、これでもだいぶね、良くなった方なんですよね。
そうなんですよ。第2形態
Yeah,
の
that's
特徴でハマ
true.
らない
I
っていう
did
の
I did
が
ask for RE1 through 3.
リーチが長すぎるのはいけないですね、これね。
はい。
はい。で、こちら、ここの第3形態、第2形態倒したことで、ひとまず、倒す
Though
ネ
I
メシスは
think
これで終わりました。
you know what? You gotta throw
Hi.
you gotta throw
ひとまずは
Barry
お
in
疲れ
there.
様です。
Yeah, like he's not one of our
Yeah.
protagonists. He's not one of
Hi,
our main running
Hi,
characters, but
Thomas.
Barry's a very
で
beloved
カ
and
ルロスが金を動
controversial
かしてく
character,
れ
I
たの
feel.
で、先に進めるようになります。
I'm just jumping all over the place. Yeah, Bear's great. I'm not sure how I feel about him in what was it called? Oh, he was in that spin-off. Yeah, Revelations. I think it was Revelations 2, right?
これは回避不能ですね。
さあ、こっちは。もう最悪ですよ。もうめちゃくちゃ
Yeah, Revelations is very different. Actually, we got just to get back to our game. We do have hunters here in the garden. I believe hunters is the encounter that you want, so long as you don't get stuck. Again, they're just very easy to dodge. Zombies control you. It is Revelations 2. Yeah, Revelations and Revelations 2 kind of just hit on that whole like action mindset. Kind of like you know, the Dino Crisis versus Dino Crisis 2, where you just kind of completely transform to action based. Which again, Dino Crisis is another one of those survival horror games from the 1990s that are really just amazing games, amazing. Like really, their first games are amazing. The sequels are what they are, but Dead Space did that as well. Yeah, I only played the first Dead Space. I didn't do the second one. I've heard that I should, but I've heard similar things about that.
もう序盤から持ってたね、ライター君はここでようやくお役御免ということで。はい。
Yeah, I'm not like I'm absolutely not shooting down Dino Crisis 2. It's they're all like they all have their very unique aspects to them. It's kind of funny because we had so many games that came out in that era that were all tank controls, all in the survival horror genre, and in great watches. And here we have our Gravedigger Fight. Which, if you're sitting here going, how are you supposed to take this down with a knife? Let's see our amazing runner in action. Trying to make good use of once again the geometry to make sure that we have we're safe, not going to lose a ton of damage. One thing you might be asking yourself is with this whole Gravedigger fight, how are we doing damage to this? Like I don't see anything happening when Jill's stuck in the corner, just basically running away over and over and over again. So we'll see if our runner has a unique strat that they're going to utilize to take down this boss. Something that you might not have seen before. Unless you've actually seen Resident Evil 3 knife percent run before, you might actually not even know that this strat exists.
また地下に潜るとイベントが起きまして、街灯がね傾くという。
And here it is, the ultimate strat. Run around long enough, and a lamppost can be knocked down into a puddle, electrocuting the Gravedigger and ending the boss fight without actually knifing the boss whatsoever. Definitely one of those mechanisms that was thrown in there for a gamer who's really struggling with a fight. It needs to get out of there somehow, and built in perfectly for our knife percent fight, so we don't have to worry about actually doing enough damage to take down the boss itself. Yes, I love all the talk of just great survival horror games here in chat. You know, bringing up Fatal Frame. Again, just very unique mechanics. A lot of creativity back then of trying to figure out how do I do something that is similar, but really trying to take the genre in a new direction. You know, Dino Crisis, Fatal Frame. the Silent Hill series, Resident Evils, all of these amazing games really coming out, Parasite Eve in a very similar time frame. And really, Resident Evil being at the very front of a lot of these new mechanics, new ways of playing, new ways of introducing survival horror into video games. And a big shout out to Shinji Mikami for all of his work in really pioneering a lot of these changes. Director behind the first Resident Evil, really producer of a lot of the other Resident Evil games. Also directed Dino Crisis. The man behind a lot of these great games here. Nice little quick puzzle strat of stepping into the steam and being able to hit the button without having to do the entire puzzle.
で、この先、パソコン版特有の攻略をしていきます。一旦システムディスクを手に入れたら、
Onimusha.
エリアチェンジをします。
Yeah, Onimusha is also on the on this. Oh, when is it going to be? I can try to look that up because I don't know if it's happened already. I think it's happening a little bit later. But there's an Onimusha run in Marathon here.
これは厳しい。ここ無敵時間がないんでね。あ、許されました。
あ、OK です。
はい。段差中にも攻撃判定がある。
There's it. There it is. It looks like it is going to come up later tonight. So we have Silent Hill 2 coming up right after this, and Onimusha is coming up probably in the 11 p.m. Eastern time frame. So I would say about 9 hours or something like from now, 8 or 9 hours from wherever you're watching our stream.
運要素というかね、があるんですね、このゲームね。
I believe he has 2 spray kits, but they're not full. I believe each of them have only a couple of those runs. Yeah, if you are a Silent Hill 2 fan, get ready because we have a hard difficulty run coming up after this. Very excited to watch that one. Silent Hill is another one of those amazing games that really revolutionized the series. Or the genre as a whole.
かなり大変だったんですけども、安定パターン見つかりましたね。
おっと、変な動きして
る。怖いです。あ、ちょっと待って。
ちょっと
Oof, getting caught by a couple of those hunters there.
そのパターン私は
Again, hunters are not the worst thing in the world. They're pretty easy to dodge if you know how to read them right. So having hunters show up, they take a lot to put down, but in terms of a speed run where you're really not trying to take out any of the enemies, they're actually a pretty nice thing.
この先ネメシスとの戦いになりまして、イベント戦的な要素が多いですね。薬品を3回浴びせることで倒すことができます。
Yeah, I've heard said that Silent Hill 2 is really one of the peaks of the horror aspect of survival horror. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, just get ready to take a look. And it's not just pure fog, so they got that. Silent Hill 2 has that.
ショリルネメシスですね。はい。いわゆるショリルネメシス。
So here we have our infamous acid Nemesis fight. So the idea is to get Nemesis to stand in front of each of these acid spouts and to have Nemesis come in just as the acid's coming out and drench him. So you saw Nemesis open the first one. Great setups for the next two, baiting some attacks to put Nemesis in just the exact right positioning, and we've got one here, and we're pretty close to the end of this run. Just this fight, and then we have our with our charged weapon to finally take out Nemesis at the end of the game.
これも当たっていない。
なかなか珍しいですね。
あれが当たってないのか。
正直大丈夫だと思ったんですけど、
Nemesis being trolly again. I mean, we've had a couple trolly Nemesis here. You know, we had the one in the hallway to City Hall, little clock tower, but it should just be. Oh, and that was last first aid spray. You know, I'm pretty sure we'll be okay. I think we only need one more acid to put Nemesis down, and then the final stage shouldn't be that bad. No, to Nemesis's credit, not having a head makes it difficult to walk towards the acid bath. Alright, baited the attack. It looks like this is going to be it. There it is. So, Nemesis getting dissolved here. Picking a key card, and then we're going to end up hitting this final stage right here. Yeah, Nemesis been behaving much at all this run. We're going to be well under our 1 hour 20-minute time limit here. Probably finish in the next few minutes. As long as Nemesis isn't too bad in the last section, which really he shouldn't be, but we'll see. I mean, Nemesis is trolled enough today. No telling what's going to happen, especially since we don't have any more of our first aid sprays. We have 2 kits, but no. For going green herbs, you know, this last section's pretty. Oh, getting 1 safety first aid spray. This last section shouldn't be too bad.
そして、この先、ネメシス第3形態が現れます。なんかちょうどよくですね、レールキャノンがね、設置されてますので、レールキャノンを使って倒すという感じですね。
Oh, yeah, the world record for this run is just under 1 hour. I think it's 59 minutes and 50-something seconds. So getting a 104, or probably end up around 106, is really good for this category. You know, especially when you're doing safety strats, and there's Resident Evil 3 as a whole is a huge reset heavy game. From the very beginning of the game in the basement, there's a ton of resets that happen there, and again, like the fact that you have so much RNG, not in terms of enemy placements and movement, but also what types of enemies show up. You can reset on the basement. You can reset right before the train if you get zombies instead of dogs. Like I said, it's very reset heavy. So the fact that we're hitting like I said, probably around a 106 RTA is a really good pace, especially for a run of this caliber. And with as trolly as Nemesis has been, this is a very strong run.
大体8割はこっちや画面側に出てくるんですよね。
そうですね。ジルの進行方向を
So I've got to say, as much as we've talked about 3-make a little bit today, picking up that railgun at the end, pretty it's a strong move. I have to choose my words carefully, but yeah, that's an awesome moment there. Alright, baiting Nemesis into the perfect position here to get that last shot.
降りてくる。で、このネメシス1回当てればいいのか2回当てるのかいいのか当てればいいのかっていうのもこれ乱数ですね。
Yeah, I agree. Inferno final Nemesis was pretty ridiculous. And there we go with those last couple rockets back in Nemesis. Baiting in one more attack.
悪いランスですね。あと一発当てればって感じです。
silly question. Which do you like the most, the original or the
そうで
remake?
すね。
なかなか、
Contra
なかな
question.
かないんですが、
I'll allow chat
これ
to put
で
in its thoughts.
とどめを刺したかな。
With that last rocket, Nemesis goes
さすが
down.
にこれはもう終わりですね。
Joel's gonna
Yeah,
hobble her
I
way
was-
over,
はい。
and as
で
is
全部の
typical
あの
Resident
ミ
Evil
スを倒しました。
fashion,
倒しま
a
したね。
self-destruct has been set, and we're gonna run away, and then try to get out of Raccoon's
そうすると、
before we are incinerated ourselves. And this is a great moment too.
まあ、ここタイム優先でね、とどめは刺しません。はい。仕方ないですね。
はい。
で、もうすぐタイマーストップですね。
And there we have Carlos coming in to save day.
はい。ここでストップですね。
Somehow knows how to fly a helicopter. It gets us out, and there's our end time. 107.39 with a trolley Nemesis, and again knife only in a very reset heavy RNG filled run. GG's to our runner, and a very good display of a not often seen category of
かな
Resident
り
Evil
ひどい
3.
ですね。ここまでひどかったのは
Yeah,
ないです。
I'm happy you guys stuck around. Thank you
ちょっと
for
ストリー
for
マー
joining
の
me
判定は
here.
ちょっと疑惑
We
でしたね。
do have Silent Hill 2 coming up after this.
一番奥のところはまあ
And
しょうが
we
ない
do, like I
として
said, we've been
手前の
talking a
とこ
little
ろ
bit
は
about
これ
other
だ
types
か
of
な
survival
っていう
horror
ふうに
games.
ね
Someone brought up
思ったん
Onimusha,
ですけ
which is
ども
coming up in
ね。
probably about 8 hours or so. If you're a fan of the
ダメで
series,
したね、
feel free to
今
stick
回は
around for that.
そうですね
We have Silent Hill 2 coming up next, and then
で
Yoshi's
アルベさん、
Crafted
今
World
回バイオハザード
coming up
3
after
で
that.
のナイフ
My name is DPS7, and thank you for sticking around. Like I said, I love Biohazard.
はい
Love the Resident
今後
Evil
は
series.
旧作主に
Love to talk about
RTA
it.
やらせていただいてるんで
Thank
す
you
け
to,
ども、
to Speed Gaming,
はい
of course, for
123
for restreaming
トリロジーです
RTA In
トリロジ
Japan.
ーこれをやる予定です
Great,
はい
great
今
time.
回
Anytime we get to sit around, watch some speed games and really play the games that we love,
123は
and
パソコン
talk
版
about the games that we
パソコン
love.
版ですね
It
どんぐらいですかね、これも
it's a
3
pleasure.
時間かから
It's a
ずに
pleasure. So thank you,
終わります
thank you for the
そうで
GGs,
すね2
and
時間
yeah,
40
I'm
ぐらい
gonna head out, and as soon as these credits end,
となると
we're gonna be
夏
tossing
は
off to a little bit of a
その
break,
トリロジーリレー
and then
に
we'll be
させて
transitioning
いただ
over
けたりみたいな
to Silent Hill 2
はい
in the next couple
ト
minutes
リロ
here.
ジーやります
Thank you, everybody,
であります
and
かトリロジーね
yeah, excited about the
あー
next
いや
one.
いいですね